everybody, my name's EpiFox, and welcome to a spoiler-free review of Zootopia. I just finished watching it about 3 hours ago, so I thought I'll do it while it's fresh in my memory. I'm also going to do one over Deadpool next, so you'll see these two up on my channel very soon. Very limited editing, so they're very quick, along with the Undertale, kind of break up the monotony. Anyway. So, I just saw the movie Zootopia. This is a spoiler-free segment. However, the second half, or later on, I'm going to do a bit with spoilers, and I'm going to stop the movie, put up a little spoiler alert, and I'll actually tell you when it's going to be, and I'll give you a few seconds, that way, 30 seconds, that way you guys can turn off the video if you haven't seen it, but if you have, you can go ahead and watch it, and so you can get my personal opinion over certain parts of the movie. But start out, it's going to be spoiler-free. Zootopia, if this is completely spoiler-free, and this is not a spoiling part of it, it is a movie about animals who have evolved into what human society is today. That's basically what Zootopia is. That's not spoiling anything, trust me. Zootopia is where, basically there's a lack of humans. There's no humans, so animals have evolved to the point of being anthropomorphic. There we go. To say that word. Now, if you don't know what anthropomorphic is, basically it's giving an object a human ability, or human feelings and basically human characteristics. Like the movie Brave Little Toaster gives a toaster human emotion. It can talk, it can move around. It gives it human abilities. If you ever seen Lion King, you give the lions the ability to talk and communicate like humans. That's anthropomorphic, either giving an object or an animal human characteristics. So this is a movie about anthropomorphic. If you've already seen the ads or the trailers, you've probably seen that. Quite a bit of anthropomorphic art out there, and a lot of Disney is anthropomorphic, like WALL-E, giving robots the ability to love and have emotions. That was given to WALL-E and basically everything that they do. If you remember back when they made Over the Hedge and stuff like that, so they've basically mastered this art. I mean, it started out with Mickey Mouse. I mean, that was Walt Disney's original idea, was Mickey Mouse, and it's a mouse that drives a steamboat and whistles and does other humanistic kind of things. That's anthropomorphic. So a lot of people are very careful about that word. And if you like the movie, congratulations, you're a furry. No, I'm just kidding. But to move on to my actual review. God, I haven't said anything. Basically, this movie about anthropomorphic animals who've grown to become basically human in this society. And every single race of animal is become human. Or, well, does human things. The whole movie itself is about overcoming diversity. A lot of people were very upset because this was very preachy, supposedly, and about racism. It somewhat has it to do with racism, but it's more of just overcoming diversity is the whole point of it. The movie is about overcoming just the harshness of diversity, because it's a very current subject. I think that's why a lot of people also were very upset with it, because this was kind of beat to death today, but it kind of needs to be. I'm just glad to see that Disney's actually picking up topics that aren't just, well, you need to have love and wishes come true. I'm glad to see Disney's picking up a topic that's, or a moral, at least, that's not the same old, where it's like, oh, true love exists, and, they're actually taking a current subject, like diversity, and basing a video around it, saying, trying to subconsciously implant into children that, diversity is wrong and that there is ways to overcome it. Now, I do believe that diversity will be around for almost ever. There always will be diversity. But, there are ways to overcome diversity. There's plenty of ways for us to, work past diversity, but there will always be diversity. That's just how the world works. That's just, unfortunately, an unfortunate truth that we have. And there's not just diversity between races. I'm not just talking about racism. I'm talking about diversity in everything. Segregation stuff of other groups, men to women, and age segregation as well. I mean, even whenever somebody works in a field for 10 years, they're only 32 years old, but they've been working in this field for 10 years, and somebody just starts in that field, but they're 45. I've seen it happen many times where I work. Diversity is a huge issue, but this movie addresses diversity. I know I've beaten that to death in the first 5 minutes of the movie, it's a very current subject. They go about it in a very, very PG way. It's a very G way, general audience way that even children can watch, and they're not going to be like, "Oh my gosh, you're scarring my child." No, it's very, very well done, very tasteful. Now, of course, it's Disney, so they slip a lot of things in there that are kind of for the adults, we'll say. They have a few jokes in there about that, few moments, but nothing that children will catch. I guarantee it. It's nothing that a child will be like, "Oh, that's a sex joke," or "Mommy, what does that mean?" kind of thing. It's very well done. Disney did a very good job. They also hit a lot of propaganda for their other stuff in there. Like, they have a lot of posters and stuff and references to other things. Like, they have a Breaking Bad reference, and they have the creators of the movie voice some characters, and a lot of other things happen in there. And it's really funny, some of the Easter eggs. I wouldn't have caught them unless I saw they have a post online, somebody posted on Facebook a picture, and it shows all the little hidden secrets, little tidbits. And it wasn't really a spoiler for me, because it didn't tell anything about the actual movie, like the plot or anything. It just showed some Easter eggs, and it was kind of neat, so I got to see that. So they do have a lot of Easter eggs. Very well made movie. The animation is phenomenal. Like, the actual animation itself and everything, the movements are so fluid, and there's so many movements. The animatronic characters or not animatronic, the animation characters are all CG done. They've done very well, I must admit. I know nowadays everybody's sick and tired of seeing constant CG, but I gotta say, it was very beautifully done. Everything was well made, it seemed in its place. And at some points, it almost seemed overdone a little bit, just because of the fact that it looked like they were trying to show off what they can do. They're like, "Look what we can do! Look what we created!" Which was also astounding, and it was very beautiful. But sometimes you were just sitting there going, "Yeah, I see what you're doing here. A little bit too much. I think you've gone a little too far." But over the top, it wasn't over the top to the point where you're just sitting there going, "Oh, well." Like Jurassic World had a little over the top once in a while. It was like, okay, now you're just kind of, you're being a little bit cocky there and showing a little bit too much CG, and it's not helping out anything in the movie. It makes you almost attached to the movie. This movie is very good at drawing you in, too. Zootopia was a very good movie for drawing you in and making you feel what the characters feel, and it had a way of really grabbing the audience. Now, it's not the most emotionally connected video. I gotta say, the best emotionally connected video I felt was WALL-E. I mean, that video was amazing. But overall, Zootopia was an amazing movie. It had very lovable characters. Some of it was kind of... there were a few parts in it that were almost, it was that scene what you get in a lot of movies where it was almost hard to sit through because it was kind of awkward. You felt bad for the character, and you were like, "I can't believe this is happening." It was just kind of things that happened to the character, but it was all necessary, so you could forgive it. But it's a good movie, very good plot, very good moral to the story, and it seemed like it was very well done. That's definitely a suggested video. Had a lot of humor in it. It had a lot of good action to it. I was surprised at how quickly it went. The movie lasted, I think, about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, something like that, but it seemed like go by in a flash because of how good it was. Those movies you watch and you're just like, "Whoa, it's over already? Come on, I want to see more." Beautifully done. Definitely one I will go buy on DVD when it comes out. I love Disney. I've always loved Disney. I've been a Disney fan since I was 3 or 4 years old, back whenever Toy Story came out. It came out in, I believe, 95, and that was I went and watched it in theaters. I was like 3 years old. I was born in 93, so it's like 3 years old and went out there and watched Toy Story. It was the only movie that I watched. I was the first movie I ever watched in theaters. It was my only movie I actually sat through until I was like 8 years old, so it shows you that I really do enjoy Disney movies. My Beauty and the Beast was my favorite movie by Disney when I was a kid, and then I've gotten older. I like WALL-E a lot more. Kung Fu Panda is pretty good. A lot of Disney and Pixar movies are my favorites. So Zootopia is no exception. I absolutely loved the movie. It was great. Had some down points to it. Had some kind of a preachy message. It was kind of preaching on this message, very hardcore. But there's one specific part I'll talk about later in the spoiler section that was kind of like, okay, you're touching a little hard on that subject there. You're getting a little too realistic is what it was. And it's just, if you look at it when you're in the movie, it wasn't so bad, but afterwards you're kind of sitting there going, "Oh yeah, that was a little touchy." It is a touchy subject, unfortunately. They did it very well, though. So this has been the spoiler-free section. Now, I'm going to go into the spoiler section now. So there's a spoiler alert coming on screen. If it's not, it means I got lazy and I forgot to put the text here. But I'm going to give you a few seconds to go ahead and turn off the video if you haven't seen Zootopia. If you have, or you don't care, like you just don't care and you kind of, like, I'm going to see the movie anyway, I might as well listen to the spoiler section. You can go ahead and listen, but here comes the spoilers. Okay, now we're in the spoiler section. This is for people who have either seen the movie already, sorry, it's not on DVD yet, movie already, or they don't care about spoilers really. They're going to see the movie anyway. That's how I was with Deadpool. It was like, I don't care if people, tell me about the movie. I want to go see it either way. I just like to hear what they have to say about it. I don't care if they spoil, parts of it or the secret. Zootopia was very good. I liked how the plot went from a rabbit who had to come over, and people want to say it was diversity between prey and predator, because that's what the movie was. If you've already seen it, if you haven't, I'll explain the plot to you so that way you kind of get a grasp to it. This is where the spoiler comes in. It was about a rabbit who becomes a cop, and she's the first rabbit to become a cop ever. And so she becomes a cop because that's all she wanted to do since she was a little kid. When she gets in, she's expecting everybody, prey, predator, and stuff, to be cohabitant, because that's what they advertise. Zootopia is this great city that everybody's cohabitant together, prey and predator. But it turns out that there is a little bit more of a balancing issue than you think. Now, when she gets in, because she's small and she's a rabbit, she has to overcome a lot of diversity in this. But, I mean, she overcomes it. She becomes a cop anyway, and she goes in the city, and they put her in a meter maid, unfortunately. And it's really down on her luck, and then she ends up pushing through, and she ends up making it and becoming a full-blown cop when she discovers the secret of the city, why predators are all of a sudden becoming feral again. So, to touch on the way people were telling me they saw it, they were saying, oh, the movie is, about racism, prey versus predator, white versus black. Not necessarily. The movie's about diversity itself, how a young rabbit in the country, or somebody who is not gifted, or not necessarily gifted, but I mean like born with, money or power, or somebody who's not born physically fit, or somebody who's not born to be huge, muscular, or something like that, or a woman themselves, because sometimes people look at it and say, oh, well, a woman couldn't be a cop. Well, of course they could. Let's not say that they couldn't. They can be cops. They can make great cops. This movie's addressing that kind of diversity between people who are underprivileged or just don't have it, and they're overcoming the odds to get your dream. If you have a dream to be this, that's what you overcome. Now, they also touch on other subjects, the prey versus predator. Yes, we have obvious, people, for some reason, people kept on saying black versus white. It's not how I see it, but that's how some people see it. Yes, there is diversity between sections. People are segregated and split, and, it was a whole city, and they said, the prey was the 90%, and the predators were the 10%. The predators were becoming feral, and people were putting that, in reference to the Ferguson thing, saying, like the blacks were the 10%, the minority, and, we're coming down on them, but it was a very touchy subject because in the movie it was staged, and they're saying maybe it's staged real life, that's how they felt. I don't feel that's what the movie was actually trying for. I feel the movie was just trying to say, hey, listen, maybe they're not, diversity is a bad thing, and we shouldn't assume because somebody was either born a female, born a male, born scrawny, born black, born white, born Mexican. It doesn't matter what you were born as. You can become anything you want as you become older in life. As you get older in life, just go for it. And we need to learn that it doesn't matter what people are. It matters what they want to be. And that's what they put, how much determination you have. And you can overcome diversity is what it's saying. Now, at the one point that really got to me, that afterwards I was thinking about it and it was like, oh wow, that was kind of touchy, was the point they got to when Judy Hopps, the rabbit who's the officer, had to speak in front of a conference, and she said it's in their biology, they can't help it, kind of thing like that. that was the part where I could see people drawing a connection, being like, well, for some reason white people think black people have their biology. No. They're using an animal. I don't see that. I could see it being touchy, and some people seeing it and sparking immediately in their brain that they make that connection, and that's what a couple people I've talked to have said. But for me, when they said about them being in their biology, I was thinking of more of, being from where they live. People do this because of what they were grown up and surrounded by is more of what I was thinking. They use biology because of the fact that they're animals, and the animals come from the animal kingdom. They have different biologies and stuff. They actually do. Humans are human. Human comes from biology. We all come from the same biology. We're all the same species. The animals were different species, so that's what made it different. I think it was drawn a connection between their biology and our living where we grew up in, because that could definitely, make a difference, but you shouldn't be judged in where you grew up or what kind of environment you grew up in, is what the movie's addressing, Maybe they grew up in a tough area. It doesn't mean they're going to one day just break out guns and kill everybody because they grew up in an area where people, did drugs and grew up and shot people. I think that's more of what the movie is trying to get at, and people were just drawing wrong conclusions. People jumped to conclusions. Unfortunately, it was a very edgy movie, so it had a lot of that to it, where, some of the scenes were kind of able to be confused or predicted, not confused, but you could draw your own conclusion from it. It was very open to drawing your own conclusions on what you think the movie was about. I think it was a good movie. I think it was over a very current subject. I think they maybe jumped the gun on how soon they should release a movie like this that was very over controversial topics. I don't think it was necessarily race. I think they were going over every topic, how people look at other people, people look at lawyers as, oh, you're a liar, you're, real slick and stuff like that. That's not necessarily lawyers. I know a lawyer. He's a great guy. He's a very calm, collected guy. He's not slick. He can't lie. I mean, I've had him try to lie before, and he stinks at it. He does not lie very well, but that's just because that's how he's always been. He just doesn't lie well. When he lies, he starts to sweat, and he gets real nauseous and irritated, and he scratches his arm, and he, starts to get, nauseous, and he's like, oh, I gotta go outside, guys. And it was like, he only lied at a poker game we were at, and he was trying to lie, and he got sick, and it's like, well, how can you be a lawyer? And you're like, a lot of the lawyer's job is not lying. It's, you look at the facts of the case. So I'm just saying, the movie was going over diversity and our stereotypical judgment. That's what I was looking for, the word stereotypical. Looking for our stereotypical judgments. Everybody stereotypes. It doesn't matter who you are. You stereotype. Even I stereotype. Maybe not race, gender, anything. You stereotype something, though. Like in the movie, it was making very simple stereotypes. That way you could see, how easy it is to stereotype. A fox is cunning, clever, quick. Rabbits have are good at making babies, and they're very multitude. Because we talk about the showed the multiplier or the counter of the population just keep on going up on the sign. And rabbits are stupid, and they're fluffy and cute, and they they don't want to be called cute in the movie, or and it was breaking the controversy when it had the cheetah who was fat at the desk and stuff. So it was just showing that we can make stereotypical judgments like that. And we don't even second guess them, because a lot of them are so tiny that we don't think about them. But some of them are a little bit bigger. We need to realize we are stereotyping sometimes. We need to realize it and bring it out in the light and, realize we need to stop stereotyping. And if we do stereotype in the back of our head, we try to hide it. Oh, I'm not stereotypical. That's whenever you start making subconscious decisions about certain things. So, thank you so much for joining me in this episode. I'm going to be doing a review over Deadpool next, so thank you so much for watching this. If you'd like to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you dudes in the next episode. Good evening. Welcome to How to Be Successful. Step 1. Don't fox. This